Thank you, Heather. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Concord's multi-platform worship service. My name is Rick Mitchell, he, him, and I am your worship associate today. Thank you for joining us this morning for our service titled Faith and Trust, Close Conceptual Cousins that may help guide our spiritual journey. We are an inclusive church where we support each other on our own and our shared spiritual journeys. Now I'm feeding back. We celebrate diversity, equity, and inclusion in joyful defiance of the opinions of some. Pardon me for going off script. We embrace the beauty within each of us, yet acknowledge the imperfections that make us human. In other words, you're all welcome, and I'm glad we can be together, both online and in person. I'm especially happy to welcome first-time and returning visitors. If you are a visitor, we hope you will find us a community eager to welcome you and respectful of the path that has brought you here this morning. For more information about our church, take a look at the pew folder or check out the Visitors Center outside the church office. Also, anyone wearing a colorful lei is ready to welcome you and answer any questions you may have. For our online visitors, it would be wonderful if you introduced yourself on the chat so we know you are with us. Our church buildings are located on traditional homelands of the Pennacook Abenaki people, past and present. We acknowledge and honor with gratitude the land and the people who have stewarded it for generations. For a complete listing of church news and events, please click the link at the bottom of any of our web pages to request our weekly e-bulletin or a copy of Parish Notes, our monthly newsletter. You can also find us on Facebook and on our YouTube channel. For links to resources referenced today, use the QR code on your order of service or click the button below the live stream window. And now, Dan has some announcements.
Thank you, Rick. I appreciate that. And it is wonderful to have you all here this morning. Thank you for enduring the heat, and I'll do everything I can to bring a service that I hope will allow you to forget the heat for a little while. Following service, there will be social time in the courtyard. Please take advantage of that opportunity to get to know your friends and neighbors and enjoy a little bit of interaction. For families, at 11:30 a.m., join us for the Family Discover UU Hike and Scavenger Hunt. Your family will work as a unit to decipher clues which will lead you to different locations on our grounds and buildings to collect fun facts about the church and about Unitarian Universalism. Afterwards, we will gather for cool drinks, popsicles, and light refreshments. This is a family event. All children will need an adult with them at all times. Tuesday at 6 p.m. will be our monthly Blue Moon Music House. Join us for music and fun. It will be held in the parlor and outside if weather cooperates. Reminder that next Sunday is the deadline for the September parish notes on Sunday at 2 o'clock of next week. Please make sure that you submit your information to the appropriate email address. And finally, our fall family potluck picnic is on September 7, a week earlier than usual this year. Save the date for this fun community event. It is only a month away. Renee West needs a few superheroes to ensure that everything goes well for everyone. If you would like to rock, virtually or not, a cape during the picnic, please let her know either by signing up at church or via our form in the e-bulletin that you can bring a dish or dessert and can help with the event. Please rise in body or spirit as we sing our song of welcome, number 347 in our gray hymnals, Gather the Spirit. And I want to thank Vicki for her leadership of our music today. I apologize for failing to note prior to introducing our welcoming hymn that the lyrics were on your screen. I'll try to be mindful of that going forward, seeing that it's not usually terribly relevant for me. Please remain standing and join me in the words of our covenant found on your screen. Love is the spirit of this church, and service its call. Let this be our covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Whoever you are, wherever you are on your life journey, come. Let us worship together. Please be seated. Each week, we light our chalice to set this time apart and to mark it as sacred. If you are at home and you have a candle or chalice ready, I invite you to light it now as our worship associate Rick lights our chalice in the sanctuary. Rise up, O flame, thy light glowing, show to us.
Join me in this blessing. It is a blessing to be.
It is a blessing to be.
It is a blessing to be here.
It is a blessing to be here.
It is a blessing to be here now.
It is a blessing to be here now.
It is a blessing to be here now together.
It is a blessing to be here now together. We touch the floor to remember that wherever we bring our best self is holy ground. We reach for the sky to remember that we are a part of mystery much bigger than ourselves. We hold hands to remember that we need one another and are part of one human family. We join voices to remember that we each have a gift to offer the world and to use in making the world a better place. These words from Lisa Friedman. Please rise in body or spirit as we sing number 193, a new hymn for our congregation in our gray hymnals, Our Faith is But a Single Gem. Please be seated. And thank you for being good musical sports about trying something a little innovative. We now turn to the joys and the sorrows that we carry individually and as a community. Will you take a breath with me? As we surrender to this moment, let us notice our body resting, grounded, supported by the earth. As the piano begins to play, you are invited to come forward and light a candle or place a stone at the table to your right, or add a note to our holding our grief wheel. Today's joys and sorrows we will hold in silence with no public sharing at the microphone. What a beautiful rendition, Heather. Thank you for your talents. I now invite Bob, our pastoral care associate, to light one more candle on behalf of those who are not with us today or who chose to remain seated. We hold in love Kirk McDaniel and Bevan Tolk. Please join me now in a spirit of prayer or reflection. Following my brief prayer, we will listen to the piano play a musical meditation, Comfort Me, one of the songs that actually does that for me more than almost any other song in our UU hymnal. And so we will not be singing Comfort Me, but we will simply use it as an opportunity to reflect. Spirit of life and love, God and Goddess of all names and no name at all, spark of mystery, moment of awe, we come to you humbly, asking that all we do be in service to justice, be in service to kindness, be in service to generosity, and be in service to all of the Unitarian Universalist values that distinguish our church. We ask that you be with us as we undertake the steps and the measures that are consistent with our faith tradition, which usually manifests itself in standing up for what is right, for loving our neighbors, for changing the world for the better, for being cognizant of the marginalized. Spirit of life and love, please also place your hand and your heart on those among our congregation who are unwell or who are struggling for other reasons that may not be physical. Let them know that they are not alone, that they are a part of our community, and that our community deeply, deeply cares for their welfare. Spirit of life and love, we ask that you, in concert with those who are a part of our church, do all we can to mitigate the struggles, the pain, the hardship that is currently characterizing our world globally. We know that we can make a difference, one seashell at a time, and we look to you for broader guidance. We have faith in you for broader guidance. Spirit of life and love, as we start another week of living our lives in our own individual ways, please allow us to be the best we can be. Give us strength to engage the things that are important in our lives. Give us comfort and solace when we face hardship. Give us time for reflection when we need to step aside. Spirit of life and love, we ask these things in your name. Amen, Ashe, and may it be so. Readings this morning are taken again from our very resourceful gray hymnal. Many people know it as being one of our two standard hymnals, but rarely do they consider the commentary and the readings that are near the back of the book. I find that some of these readings are as compelling as many of the other readings we find in a number of our UU literature. May we be reminded here of our highest aspirations and inspired to bring our gifts of love and service to the altar of humanity. May we know once again that we are not isolated beings, but connected in mystery and miracle to the universe, to this community, and to each other. Let us worship with our eyes and ears and fingertips. Let us love the world through hearts and minds and body. We feed our eyes upon the mystery and revelation in the faces of our brothers and sisters. We seek to know the wistfulness of the very young and the very old, the wistfulness of people in all times of life. We seek to understand the shyness behind arrogance, the fear behind pride, the tenderness behind clumsy strength, and the anguish behind cruelty. All life flows into a greater common life if we will only open our eyes to our companions. Let us worship, not in bowing down, not with closed eyes and stopped ears. Let us worship with the opening of all the windows of our beings, with the full outstretching of our spirits. Life comes with singing and laughter, with tears and confiding, with a rising wave too great to be held in the mind and heart and body. To those who have fallen in love with life, let us worship and let us learn to love. These words from Kenneth L. Patton. Consistent with our theme of faith and trust today that I shall talk about momentarily, I have chosen for our anthem a song that we often hear and that our choir sung some time ago, "This Rose Will Open." And I offer that song because, again, it speaks to a certainty that we know will happen. This rose will open.
Oh I know this rose will open. I know my fear will burn away.
I know my soul will unfurl its wings. I know this rose will open. I know. I know. I know. I know this rose will open. I know my fear will burn away. I know my soul will unfurl its wings. I know this rose will open. I know this rose will open.
In many organized religions or spiritual groups, faith is, at one point or another, critical to the successful functioning of many belief systems. You can do a number of things in a number of spiritual associations, but ultimately, be it Christian, Hindu, Islam, all of the religions of the globe, Sikhism, Buddhism, ultimately, you need at some point to have faith. As a Unitarian Universalist, I've struggled with how I incorporate faith into my appreciation of the sacred. We Unitarian Universalists usually think of ourselves as fairly aware of the world, fairly cognizant of nature, politically attuned, scientifically aware. And faith, well, I wouldn't say it doesn't exist in our religion, because it does, is not something we talk about quite as much. Many have tried to define faith. For me, a simple but fervent belief in ideas or truths that cannot otherwise be validated or objectively proven, reliant instead on a sense of mystery or miracle. This, for me, without further discussion and definition, is hard to accept as the faith that I say I possess. And yet, I am comfortable, indeed keenly aware, that certain circumstances within our lives exist and are happy to exist, and I'm happy to have them exist without understanding why they exist. I am not uncomfortable with not knowing why the sun rises in the east. I am not uncomfortable with many of the secrets of our world. But what allows this faith that I have to blossom? I've come to the conclusion that my willingness to embrace faith arises from the dynamic interaction between faith and trust. In the absence of trust, which I will define in my view momentarily, faith seems like something that, as a Unitarian, I would have trouble embracing wholeheartedly. You absolutely may have a different feeling. But without trust to bolster faith, faith feels a little bit like a simple, fervent hope. But what else makes my belief in faith something I can be comfortable with? Among the many definitions of trust, I like a strong belief in the reliability, ability, or truth of a given thing. It also contains elements of hope leading to life's direction, as in, I trust things will improve. Finally, trust is cultivated through long experience and observation of patterns. In short, I think of trust in those three ways: as being something that I can rely on, that is stable, that will perform and do what I expect. I think of trust as a matter of helping me hope. And I think of trust in the context of it being something that I have come to appreciate through years of experience and observation. Once I have trust of that kind, my faith seems to make more sense. I am comfortable with not knowing why the sun rises in the east. I am comfortable with not knowing why the oceans come in and out on their tides, except that I do know why the oceans come in and out on their tides, because of science, because of observation, because of experience. I know that, and yet I now have faith in it. But trust makes my understanding of that a little stronger. Trust makes my faith make sense to me. It also allows me to back away and understand that faith might stand on its own. But even when it stands on its own, again, I think trust is playing a quiet subtext role. A couple of personal stories I'd like to share with you this morning. When I was a young child at the South Carolina School for the Deaf and Blind, where my grandparents had sent me to get my education in junior high and high school, after my parents had passed away, and after I had been mainstreamed in a public school for most of my educational experience, my poorly educated grandparents, who were sharecroppers and who had a fourth grade education, concluded that I needed to go away to the school for the blind. I resisted that very much, wanting to stay close to home and be near my sister, where we had both just lost our parents. But that decision had been reached. Sometimes when we're given an opportunity to do something that we think will be distasteful, we ultimately find that there are advantages. Not the advantages that my grandparents perceived, but advantages nevertheless. My grandparents did not believe in the ability of blind people. It wasn't that they didn't love me, but society had taught them that blindness needed to be equated with an absence of capacity. And so going to the school for the blind, immersing myself among a community of people who were blind or had low vision, I found people who believed in blindness and what we could achieve. I became captain of our swim team. I was taught CPR, I was taught first aid, and I was taught to swim. I became a Red Cross certified lifeguard, and I was captain of our swim team. When they taught me how to dive, they showed me very specifically what I needed to do, how I needed to have my fingers pointed right above my head so that when I jumped and turned forward, I would go into the water at the appropriate angle. It was a very calculated set of instructions, but I had faith based on the fact that I had been taught some of the skills that would make that possible. Nevertheless, when I came in to dive for the first time, there were 3 diving boards at my disposal. A 5-foot diving board, a 10-foot diving board, and the 20-foot diving board. The coach said, "Your captain is going to demonstrate to you that blind people can dive," and I walked up hoping to make a good impression and went to the diving board at 5 feet, and he goes, "Oh, no, you want to go on down a couple more." And I said, No, I'm fine right here. It'll do the same thing, you know. And he said, "No, you'll want to go down a few more. You're only 5 feet from the water there. Your dive won't be nearly the demonstration we want to see." And I said, "Well, can I go to the 10-foot one?" And he goes, "Yes, you can go to it and pass it right up." And so I went to the 20-foot board, and I climbed the stairs, and I got to the top. And I walked the diving board where there were rails on my left and right until I got to about a foot or two from the end of the board, in which case the rails stopped, and if I had moved a little bit to my left or right, I could have gone into the water. But I knew to find the end of the diving board with my toes, and I dove. I went into the water seamlessly, without a problem. I did it from 20 feet up. I had faith it could be done, but I had faith it could be done because I knew what to do. A second story. In schools for the blind, there is a course you take if you are aspiring to be an independent blind person called Orientation and Mobility. Essentially, it's just a course that is given a fancy name, but basically it's designed to teach you how to travel independently around your school, around the neighborhood, in big cities, on buses, to cross streets, some that are just governed by a stop sign and others governed by a red light, and some governed by several lights, some that were turnabouts or roundabouts, and some that had 8 lanes on them. And the way that one who is blind can do that safely, at least back in the late 80s and 90s, before a lot of the electronic cars came out and were so quiet, was that you would listen to your parallel traffic and you would follow the pattern, which was very consistent, of the stoplights. And usually when you got to a stoplight, even if you could go, if it happened that you walked up and the cycle was in your favor, you tended to wait to let the entire cycle run through once so you had a sense of your time. To cross an 8-lane intersection, though, I thought, having grown up in the country, and I mean the country, was something that was remarkable and negligent of them to put me up to. But I crossed that 8-lane intersection, listening with my ears, listening to the cars on my left, and knowing that I could follow one curb and go straight across to the other curb, and stop in the middle on the median to take the measure of the light to see how it was going. To be honest, these two examples are not examples of heroic accomplishments. Let's be candid. If you were sighted, being captain of your swim team and diving off a 20-foot diving board does not make you a Renaissance person, and neither does crossing an 8-lane intersection. But I had been taught by society not to believe in the capacity of blind people. But I found a community at the School for the Blind that had faith in me. But not only did they have faith, they had trust that I could learn the techniques that made what I did safe. Faith, in my view, is strengthened by trust. Where is this hybrid form of faith helpful? Where do we need faith today in the Unitarian Universalist Church? Despite the multiple acts of horror that I've witnessed with the return of the current administration during the last 6 months and its adherence to tactics of authoritarianism, I have also seen and come to believe that there is a strong community of people who reject those principles, who embrace the concept of democracy, and who are going to do what they can to effect positive change. But right now, things seem hopeless. Why believe? Why believe? Because I was a history major before I went to law school. And I saw what happened in World War II. And yes, bad decisions can be made if bad people are allowed to govern unconstrained, but wonderful decisions can be made if people governed with principles of right and wrong and idealism get to participate. When will faith prove helpful? Faith bolstered by trust? It'll prove helpful to us now, because despite the horrors I've observed, I've also seen protests almost every day that give me a sense that humans are fundamentally good people. I also have faith based on experience that we'll find our way back to a sense of normalcy. World War II came and it went, and fascism was defeated. Alliances were formed, even alliances that you might not have imagined would have worked well together. But they were formed, and the hatefulness that fascism promised was quenched and extinguished. Having observed that that has happened before, I have faith based on trust that it can happen and will happen again. The cost is too high to let it be otherwise. This formula that I've devised for myself may be subject to legitimate criticism and may not endure arguments against it from others who may be brighter than I am. They might poke holes left and right in my views. But I invite you to reflect on the promise of faith, bolstered by trust, and see if it doesn't give you a sense of hope as a lens through which to observe the world in which we are privileged to live. Faith and trust, close conceptual cousins that may help to guide us on our spiritual journey. In whatever way faith plays a role in your Unitarian life, I hope my understanding of faith that I've chosen to share with you this morning, a faith that is bolstered by trust, by experience, by observation, by belief, and by hope, yes, sometimes just hope, is the faith that I find to be the most enduring. May it be so. Amen and Ashe. Thank you for your generous support of last week's outreach offering to support Mount Kearsarge Indian Museum. Today's community plate supports the nonprofit NH Humanities. This organization brings the power of ideas to people of all ages, from all walks of life, in all corners of our state. Last year, NH Humanities provided 641 free cultural programs to nearly 27,000 Granite Staters in 172 communities. The study of art and culture is essential. It is not just a luxury. However, the future of programming in our state is uncertain given cuts to humanities funding at the federal level. Your donation is needed now more than ever. Our morning offering will now be gratefully received. to my worship associate this morning for managing this. May we be transformed by our giving. May the world be transformed by our gifts. Please rise in body or spirit for our closing hymn, number 318 in our gray hymnal, "We Would Be One." Go out into the world in peace. Honor one another. Listen with an open heart. Stay curious. Have courage. Be kind. Appreciate mystery. Accept the unknown of awe. Have faith bolstered by trust, and live always the way of love. I now invite you to extinguish your chalice at home as Rick extinguishes our chalice here in the sanctuary. Please join me in reading aloud the words on our screen. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of this faith we share.
Although the words on our screen are not advancing, you all know the words.
Thank you. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of this faith we share, the warmth of community and the fire of commitment we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Now please join me in singing our unison benediction. If you are comfortable joining hands or elbows, go ahead and reach out. And if not, reach out with your heart to all of us worshiping with you, knowing that you are not alone. Thank
fantastic.
you.
I want to hear more. That was
Ah,
so good.
I really appreciate it.
Thank you. That was really, really good.
You're very kind. Thank you, Bob. Oh, goodness. Well, we did most of
We
it
did
work.
well. Yeah, we did good. All right.
Dana Sanson.
Huh?
Dana
Hi,
Sanson.
Dana. Nice to meet you.
I just wanted to tell you how much you did.
Oh, you're very kind.
And I got a lot out of it.
Thank you.
And your stories. Thank
Well,
you.
thank you. Thank
Thank
you.
you so much.
Are you new to our church?
No, I've been here about 2 years. I'm
Okay.
very involved in the
Oh, of course. We need that group so much.
right.
Well, thank you, Dana. I appreciate your kindness.
It's Kit Stan.
Hey, Kit.
Thank you very much. I especially liked your prayer and meditation. I especially
Good. How are you doing?
hold on to my hope.
There you go. You're welcome. Good to see you, Kit.
Yes.
Yes.
I just wanted to say thank you.
You're more than welcome. But we know what we've seen happen, and I bet you, I have faith that we'll overcome this.
I think so too. If you live long enough, you see how things happen.
The world is a cycle, isn't it?
Yeah.
Thank you
But it's
for,
good to hear it.
well, it is good to have that affirmed, yes, indeed. Nice to see you.
Nice to see
Thank you.
Sue Roman.
Hey, Sue.
Hey, I wanted to say it was wonderful.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.